to another edition of the SABC News COVID-19 Global Wrap, where myself, Babalole Phaka, and my colleague Busisiwe Khatebe bring you highlights of stories which dominated news headlines with regards to the coronavirus pandemic. But before we delve into it, let us have a look at some global stats. The world currently sits at over 28 million confirmed COVID-19 cases, with over 20 million recoveries and over 900,000 deaths. South Africa has over 640,000 confirmed cases, with over 570,000 recoveries and over 15,000 deaths.
In South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa has been announced as the co-chair of the Access to COVID-19 Tools Act Accelerator Facilitation Council with Norway's Prime Minister Erna Solberg. The council will advise on the work to achieve the rapid development and equitable distribution of COVID-19 vaccines.
I do indeed accept the honor that has been bestowed on my country to co-chair the council alongside my friend and my sister, Prime Minister Solberg. The ACT Accelerator is a groundbreaking and innovating mechanism, a product of perhaps an unprecedented, ongoing and steadfast collaboration.
South African volunteers on AstraZeneca's experimental coronavirus vaccine trial say they were not worried to hear the trial had been paused after a participant fell ill. They say they hope to be part of a potential solution to the pandemic. The vaccine, developed by the University of Oxford, has been described by the World Health Organization as probably the world's leading candidate and the most advanced in terms of development. And lastly, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize says the current trend of the country recording less active cases of COVID-19 shows that South Africa is in an encouraging situation. On to the rest of Africa. The continent has now recorded over 1.3 million confirmed COVID-19 cases, with over 1 million recoveries, and the death toll stands at 32,179. The WHO Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Matshidiso Moeti, says COVAX is a groundbreaking global initiative that will include African countries and ensure they are not left at the back of the queue for COVID-19 vaccines. All 54 African countries have expressed interest in the initiative, aimed at securing at least 220 million doses of the vaccine for the continent once licensed and approved.
I'd like to mention a very important development in our response to COVID-19, which is our launch today with the Africa CDC of a new network of laboratories in Africa that will work on genome sequencing of the SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19.
The German government has donated 500,000 COVID-19 test kits to the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The donation is part of a €10 million immediate in-kind support to the African Union in response to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And lastly, Nigerian resident doctors began their second strike of the year over pay and working conditions amid the spread of COVID-19. According to the president of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Aliyu Sukomba, the strike began on Monday and includes 16,000 resident medics out of a total of 42,000 doctors in that country.
And in international news, the United States of America announced plans to stop limiting international arrivals from certain countries to 15 designated airports, adding that it will also end enhanced screening of passengers. And as universities struggle to contain the COVID-19 outbreak across campuses, more than 40,000 cases have been reported among students and staff nationwide. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump responded against statements that he downplayed the severity of the pandemic, saying his actions were meant to reduce panic among Americans. According to a Reuters report, Trump's remarks follow revelations made by journalist Bob Woodward that the US president in February acknowledged the severity of the virus but intentionally downplayed it. In Asia, India reported over 95,000 confirmed cases on Thursday, setting a new record for the highest number of reported infections in a single day in a country. Thousands of trainee doctors in South Korea ended a 2-week strike and returned to work on Tuesday amid a second virus wave that has gripped the country. Meanwhile, plans of reviving tourism in Southeast Asia dealt a blow following a spike in COVID-19 infections in Bali, while Thailand reported its first locally transmitted case in over 100 days. And finally, in Europe, parents and teachers across Spain expressed feelings of both relief and worry over a possible spike in infections as children return to school after a 6-month break. And in England, Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Wednesday announced new stringent measures in attempts to control a spike in COVID-19 infections.
For the latest updates on the coronavirus, visit sabcnews.com.